Well, ahead of President Trump's visit to Saudi Arabia this weekend, the national chair of the 9/11 Families and Survivors United for Justice Against Terrorism advocacy group wrote a letter to the leader of the free world. Here to talk about it, Adelle Nazarian. Adelle, thank you for joining me on Trending Today USA.
Hi, thank you for having me.
What did the letter say?
So it was written by Terry Strada, who heads the foundation. She lost her husband in the 9/11 terrorist attacks, and it was basically written ahead of President Trump's trip to Saudi Arabia and urging him to really remain strong despite pressure, perhaps, from the Saudis for him to kind of scale back some of the legislation in JASTA that is meant to allow for Americans to sue any foreign country that is involved allegedly with terrorist activities to Saudi Arabia. Because Saudi Arabia they were against this JASTA bill, and they had alleged, quote, astroturfing several events in America trying to convince lawmakers to be a little bit more lax on the law and its implications for them.
I know 9/11 families have been long suffering in this, wanting to sue the Saudi Arabian government because there is evidence that they at least knew about some of these terrorists who committed that atrocity. Has anybody ever actually taken a suit and gotten anything from it from the Saudi Arabian government?
From what I understand, there was a government fund set up several years ago that did pay out some millions to some of the victims' families. But this is a little bit different in that it's not federally mandated. It enables citizens to actually bring lawsuits against the country that is allegedly involved in terrorist activities. And there's also been controversy with it. It's not completely, former President Barack Obama had actually vetoed the bill, and Congress, I think a year or two later, had overwhelmingly overrode his veto. People are concerned, those who oppose it, that it will open up the floodgates, so to speak, to any country to sue the United States or each other for any frivolous matter relating to their nationals being affected by alleged terrorism.
And that is the problem. What the United States does with other countries, they can do right back at us, and we would spend our days in the world court, and ultimately a lot of decisions would come down in ways that I think would be very anti-United States. And so the problem is, though, that there's ample evidence that there is reason to sue the Saudi Arabian government.
Yes, there absolutely is. The majority of the hijackers involved in the 9/11 terrorist attacks were Saudi citizens and nationals. And, it just goes to say that were they aware of this, of their nationals having been part of it? Regardless of that, it's like guilt by association. So it was their responsibility to be on top of it and to have their nationals in check. And as a result of it, they are being held. They should be held accountable for the actions of their nationals.
Is there any evidence that shows that they looked the other way? I have heard this story from countless diplomats over the years. They say the Saudi Arabian government, they just want the Saudi family to stay in power, and they will often look the other ways when it comes to matter of terrorism.
Saudi Arabia was only established, I think, in 1938 as an actual sovereign nation.
Yeah.
It was very interesting considering it's a short history, right? And it's only been the ruling families, the royal families. So I don't doubt that they're trying to maintain their stronghold, and I see it staying in power for the foreseeable future. But looking away, I can't personally accuse them of doing that, although it wouldn't surprise me if there were incidences, considering, unfortunately, there are human rights abuses as well, where they have looked the other way in order to maintain their own, dignity and their face on the world scale.
Adelle, I only have about 20 seconds left, but I wanted to ask you, was there any response from the White House?
Did not receive a response from the White House yet. I am certain it was received by the president himself.
Okay.
And I'm sure in the next few months we'll be hearing a response as to how this all plays out.
Adelle Nazarian, politics and national security reporter at Breitbart News. Adelle, thank you for joining me on Trending Today USA. In the next half.